You abandoned us in our time of need. You gave us the best movie on this green earth. I don't really know about the best movie. No one's talking to you, fool. Gave us the best movie on this green earth, and then you disappeared for 13 years. What do you expect us to do with that? Left us in the hands of Michael Bay and his ambulance car chase film. How it never run out of gas? How the ambulance never ran out of gas, full of bullet holes, on fire, but gas is still there? I'm disappointed in you, James. How'd you do this, man?
Good morrow, good people. It finally happened. After years and years and years of talking about sequels, about 13,000 movies coming out for this particular series, we finally got the sequel. And I was skeptical. I think most of everybody was. There's no way anybody really went into this and wasn't skeptical. There's no way anyone went into this and wasn't skeptical. Skeptical. Say the word. It's skeptical. Good Lord. There's no way anyone went into this and wasn't skeptical. There it is. Like, it's been 13 years, right? And there's a consistent track history of movies coming out 10 years past their prime and failing miserably at this. Like, we have Matrix Resurrections. Now look, I am a hardcore Matrix fan, but in my brain, there's only 3 movies. This last one, nah, bruh. I'll get into that another day, but yeah, Rise of Skywalker. That's a whole thing in and of itself, but Rise of Skywalker particularly was a piece of movie to grace my eyes. I've never wanted a refund as hard as I've ever wanted that, and I didn't even pay for it. My company did it. We were just, oh, let's go watch a movie. I want my time back. And then Independence Day. What even was the name of that? Like, you know, they made a sequel or a continuation. It had Jeff Goldblum and like Liam Hemsworth, but it was bad. It just wasn't good. So with all that in mind, as much as I love Avatar, like I love Avatar, that movie has a hold on me that is just mildly unnatural. Like the YouTube shorts or GIFs or whatever of Natiri just like leaning into shot, and I'm transfixed. So I want to love this so deeply, but I am super scared that it was going to come out horrible, that I was going to be so disappointed in the movie and it was going to kind of make me feel funny about the first one. Right? There is a track record of this not working out well. Maverick is the exception to the rule. Thankfully, my fears were unfounded in all regards. The movie has done insanely well. It's been out like, 2, maybe 3 weeks, going on a month, and they've already crossed $1 billion globally. They did well. They didn't hit the $2 billion mark that I think James Cameron said that was going to happen on day one. No, sir. No. Theaters are dying. There are a handful of them that are going bankrupt. Nobody's popping in. Even for Avatar to drop $2 billion on the first day. It's not happening. But they will get there quickly. Yeah. And this is even in the midst of, in the U.S., having all forms of crazy weather. California's flooding. Georgia, my home, was at it felt like -7 on one day. We don't do that. Pipes were bursting left, right, and center. We were dying down here. That's not meant to be a slight, because people did end up dying in other states where they had actual blizzards. Like, we got cold. It was very cold. That was the worst of it. We didn't even have any snow, but places like Buffalo, like they had genuine, like insane blizzards where people died. That's a complete tangent, but I'm just like, is this the global warming that we're all saying is in the future? But it looks like it's at my doorstep. Either way, but the point of me bringing all that up was that this all happened during that time. Like, it slowed down people going out into the theater, but not completely, because I saw it on that weekend. I was cold as shit. I was in there shivering, but I'm like, hey, Jake. It wasn't a concern financially, and it certainly isn't a concern ratings wise. It got a hearty 77 on Rotten Tomato for the critics and a 92 from the audience score, which is pretty much on par with what was going on in the first movie. The first movie got an 82 for both scores, right? The audience score is much stronger this time around, but I don't know if that's completely accurate or if that's just people like, oh my God, they back on the screen, because that was me. I was very worried about the story. I was very worried about how they were gonna pull this off when the first one for me was just so goddamn good. It was so good, so beautiful, so everything. Like, how are you gonna at least match? I don't even need you to top. And he did it. It wasn't the best story. It's the way that James Cameron is able to flesh these stories out. The man's a wonderful director. His vision is insane. And apparently half the reason why it took 13 years was for the technology to develop enough for him to be able to create these underwater scenes. Sure. Now, don't get me wrong. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. Like, it is still visually stunning. If I didn't know that this wasn't real, like the Na'vi are not a thing, I was like, this looks, it looks real. My eyes were full. The skin grafting on everybody is insane. Like, there's pores, right? It looks so real. But nonetheless, I think maybe we could have done it maybe 5 years earlier. I think the technology was good back then. While it, like, again, it was visually beautiful, I don't know if we had to wait 13 years for it to be this visually beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I saw it in Dolby. I saw it in IMAX. I saw it in the best screen viewings possible, and still, you know, it was water. Just, to me, we could have had this a bit sooner, is all I'm saying. But thankfully, for the next movie, they've already started working on it. Apparently, James Cameron's like, I don't want to have that Stranger Things effect where, like, the kids have, like, aged 5 years. So he filmed a lot of the scenes that I'm assuming have to do with the younger kids or the teenagers, and they'll probably get aged up in the movie. So while they were filming Avatar 2, I wanted to point out, you already did that, by the by. It just wasn't as noticeable because they ain't had kids yet. 13 years? 13. Honestly, the plot point's a little weak. You know, he basically resurrected everyone you hated from the first movie and just put them in an avatar body and dropped them back on, you know, Pandora and said, what happens now? Right? Like, that as a driving factor was a little weak to me, but I like the idea of them coming, because I was like, they're coming back to Pandora, but for what? For more unobtainium? And before we even, it is a trope or whatever that I hate in movies that they do this. It annoys me to no end. Like, they have this mineral or the element or whatever the unobtainium was supposed to be that they named unobtainium because it's unobtainable. I hate when they do that. What's his face? Like, Christopher Nolan did something similar with Tenet. The fact that that John Washington's character was named the protagonist. He didn't have a name. You don't name your protagonist the protagonist. That is not a moniker. It is a descriptive element at best, right? The fact that the herb or the mineral on Pandora is unobtainable doesn't mean you call it unobtainium. Anyway, it's a me thing, but it bugs the shit out of me. But either way, I'm glad that they came back not just for something very minuscule, like, okay, this whole story is predicated around them trying to get this particular rock underneath this one tree, like, right? But in this case, they're coming back to colonize Pandora because obviously Earth is dying or has died. I don't know, there's some theories swirling around. But this is a stronger basis for a plot because there's longevity. There's an investment in this endeavor from Earth, aside from this getting something that does your stock portfolio well and gets you lots of money. Your planet's dying, you're running out of home. This is a new home. That is a stronger plot point. So, like, to me, it balances out with the ridiculousness of just bringing back the characters you hate on that Star Wars. They did it better. But it annoys me. But it leads to the whole purpose of this movie, which is showing us a new world, a new tribe, a new group of people, because, you know, Jake and the fam have to run to protect their original clan, and they end up in a village of water people. Which actually is really cool. I like the little differences. The fact that their arms are bigger and they have like fins, and their tails, like literally they make fun of how skinny the Sully kids' tails are. But, you know, they have tails because their whole thing is to help them swim, because they're water people. It's a decent enough plot point to get you through the movie. And that just leads into more about what's going on with the Sully clan. There's this part of the story that's going forward that I don't know how I feel about. They're on their Jesus. What's her name? Kiri? You know, just all of a sudden, Grace's avatar is pregnant with a baby. Nobody knows how the baby got in there. And this baby has a special connection to the world and to their deity, Ewa. On top of that, her love interest, because he has to be her love interest, Spider, is the son of the guy who everyone hates. And I'm just like, okay, I see the pieces being set up, right? I see where they're trying to go. I see where they're trying to go with this. I don't know if I like it. I trust James, but I don't know if I like it. They end up kidnapping Spider, and he just hangs with them. Like, I need to be clear. My anger with Spider has nothing to do with him being kidnapped. Honey was being tortured for information, and so he chose a route that was less painful, and ironically enough gets him close to his father figure, whatever. He taught them how to speak the language better. He showed them how to you know, better fit in and ride the giant pterodactyl birds, because I don't remember what they were called. You know, my issue isn't with that. Okay, 100% survive how you have to survive. My issue with Spider, right, twofold, is in my brain, the older brother died because of Spider, right? They got on the ship, he freed his siblings, and they were ready to bounce. And the younger brother's like, no, we gotta go back for Spider. So when he got shot, it was trying to help them get off the ship. He'd already did his job. He'd already gotten his family. But no, he had to stay there and wait and help get Spider off the ship. At that particular moment, prior to the end of the movie, I wasn't even pressed about that with Spider. I wasn't even thinking about that. It was obvious that he was going to die. The older brother, the way they did dialogue with him and his lack of time on the screen, except for to be the better brother, was a clear sign that he was going to die. Especially after the whole scene was like, no, the big whale isn't your brother. I'm your brother. I'm like, it was nice knowing you, bruh. You're dead. Me being upset with Spider came along later. It's after he saved his surrogate blue daddy from the bottom of the ocean and then gonna hiss at him and jump back in the water. I'm like, nah, bro, you done. You're done at this point. You have to recommit to me a reason to like your. This whole movie, you've watched him murder countless animals, countless people, just burning, and you saved him? You know, he's not even your real dad, bruh. You were raised by a handful of other people. And I get it. He's sitting in a place where he just feels left out, and there's this one connection to a person that just happens to be this bad guy who, for the most part, hasn't been horrible to him specifically. I get you. Okay. But when I have been ride or die with the Sully clan this whole movie, when I have just watched their oldest son die saving your and then I watch you save this guy who near killed Jake 2 seconds ago, you're dead to me. They gonna have to figure out another way for me to actually give a about him. Which they probably have, because my friend and I were talking about this, because he doesn't have the same opinions about Spider that I do. I don't give a flying Spider. I said it, I mean it. But longevity-wise, at the end of the day, it's probably gonna have to be something where Spider is with the Sky people and Kiriti is with the Na'vi, and they gotta come in the middle and make it happen, because otherwise it'll never stop. The only way this ends is with either Pandora being colonized by Earth people, or somehow the Na'vi find a way to continuously fight off the people from Earth. They have to come to a peaceful accord, and at best, Kiri and Spider make the most sense for that. Spider. I don't care. And I'm like, at least tell them that he's alive, right? Say something. No, he just sitting there with his little breathing pack. I can't breathe. I can't stand him. No version of me like that little. I'm right there with the tears. She's like, a son for a son. I'll gut this. I'm like, please. At the end of the movie, I was like, please. Like, if you had to just ganked him, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't, have to be worried about looking over your shoulder every 3 seconds. But nonetheless, here we are. It is a fantastic movie, and it has rekindled my faith in James Cameron and the Avatar series. Now, I don't know how well these next 3 movies are gonna go, but I'm down for all 3 of them. Will I like them all equally? Probably not. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have to kill off Jake and Terry, or at least one of them in the next movie. Otherwise, it's not gonna make any sense, and that's gonna burn me a little bit. But I'm in. I'm in. James did what he had to do. He created another masterpiece. It's raking in money. It's raking in money. Gosh, Lee, is it raking in money? It's going to, I don't know if it already surpassed, but it's going to surpass Top Gun Maverick. And it's only been out like a month. Yeah, he did the darn thing. So the D score is a solid 95. There's something missing from it for me for that 100, and I can't pinpoint what it is. And I think maybe that was intentional. I left the theater feeling satisfied, but not like over the moon. Like, it felt good. And I think that was intentional, because if you keep having every movie be so insanely amazing, you can't keep that pace. I think lull it in the middle and crescendo at the end, right? And if that's what he's doing, which makes sense, the man's brilliant. D score for Avatar 2, 95. Coming up, I'll be getting to the whole Ezra Miller crisis and Elliot Page. I've said that like 13 times. I know, I'm sorry. Depression. But then I'm also going to get into Henry. And whatever in the world is getting ready to happen with the DCEU in its entirety. Like, how you gonna fire him as Superman? Okay. But that also brings up who could replace him. Anyway, as always, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao. Also, I play video games. There'll be a link down below, but there'll be some more stuff coming soon. Okay, bye.